What up, everyone? It's your man XMan87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends X-Men Wave Cha'ad Build-A-Figure Series review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, with that said, let's go! We're gonna kick things off to Astonish by looking at the astonishing X-Men Cyclops. Alright, we're starting off hot, we're starting off steamy. I think this is my favorite Marvel Legends X-Men Cyclops head sculpt, next to the animated series one. And actually, I'm gonna say this one is better just because the visor here is keyed into the sculpt, where this one is just like an overlay. That caused an issue with the visor being a little warped. This is the right method to go by, and it just looks good. I love the steamy effect there that actually captures one of the looks from the artwork on one of the covers for Astonishing X-Men. So I see what they did there, and I like the blue. I like the visor color too. It's so good looking, man. Wrinkled folds behind the ear, wrinkled folds on top of the visor. Details, man, I love that. The flesh area is actually a separate sculpt from the mask, so this seam is perfectly cut around the mouth, so there is no paint bleeds, unlike the animated series one, so it's clean cut. They finally did my man's right here, getting away from the Bucky Cap molds no more, since we're getting the X-Men Vulcan body. And with this body right here, it's actually not a Vulcan retooled kind of body. It's actually a different body. As you can see, the Vulcan stands a lot taller. But the best thing about this body, man, and they gave Cyclops the right treatment here, especially for his astonishing costume. Do you see the seams? Yes, they are sculpted. How beautiful is that? We're getting seam work done, and this is a great sign for comic figures. You can see the seam in the middle. I like the seams in gold. That's a nice metallic gold paint. You get the X-Men belt right there. Not in metallic gold, that's a bummer. So you do get red painted in the middle right there. The wristbands are a separate piece. All new sculpt from scratch here. That makes me so damn happy. And these are not the Vulcan arms either. And to prove it to you, there's always that cut right there, that seam on the Vulcan arms. So it's smooth. And they better use this kind of arm for the next comic Cyclops in the 90s costume, because they can't use the Vulcan arms. You can see the seam here. That is an eyesore. I can't stand that. So they should always use this for a smooth cut. You even get wrinkled details too. Look, on the forearms right there, on the elbows, on top of the bicep. Lots of details here. The legs, you get the gold seams, wrinkles on top right there, even wrinkles around the knees. So the balance of wrinkles is just on point. Look the calves right here, the boots. He's got the trimming right there again, just like the wristbands and the belt. I wish they were painted in metallic gold. Would have went well with the seams. And look at these shoes. These are so much better. These look like actual shoes, unlike the Vulcan that looks so weird. It looked round, flat. I don't know. Just looks like he has pancake feet or something. Like, this is what a boot shoe should actually look like. Now for accessories, he comes with a relaxed right hand and a visor trigger left hand. It's a new visor trigger hand, which is more straightened out and not hooked in like the last one, so I get it. So it's the Emma Frost versus the Jean Grey pleasure pose. My man. How much you want to bet that comment's gonna trigger the snowflakes? I don't care. So I did a swap with the House of X Cyclops, and unfortunately the blues don't match. This is a lot darker, as I wanted an optic blast effect with this because the visors at least match somewhat. But yeah, it's not going to work. It's too loose too. Now to cover articulation for Astonishing Cyclops, his head is on a disc hinge, so he looks that far up and he looks down a good amount. Left, right, no pivoting. His arms move that far up for a straight T-pose. Down, and you can swing him around. He's got a butterfly joint that moves that far in and that far out. So not much, but better than having it on the Bucky Cap mold where you don't get a butterfly joint at all. You got the bicep swivel and the double jointed elbows. You got the wrist swivel, wrist hinge. His ab crunch moves that far down, that far back. And you got the waist swivel, legs spread that far apart. He kicks up a good amount and he kicks that far back. You could rock his legs around. You got the thigh swivel and the double jointed pinless knees, so close to the heel, to the astonishing butt. You got the calf swivel right there. Ankles move up that far, down that low, and you could rock them around. This all new sculpt from scratch with a trajectory of seams is normally seen from MCU figures. This is what we can get from Hasbro if they gave our beloved comic figures the same treatment. This is such a good refresher. I'm rating Astonishing Cyclops with a 9.5 out of 10. Let's take a look at another Astonishing X-Men member, Emma Frost. So this head sculpt, when it was revealed, got a mixed reaction from the community. Some like it, some don't. I think it's pretty close to the source material if we're looking at John Cassidy's art. And I think it looks good. In my opinion, I'm on that side where I think it looks good to that artwork. She looks cold as she's supposed to. Look at those stone cold eyes. I like the lips in blue. I'm in favor of this head sculpt. Probably more so than the White Queen Billie Eilish looking one. This might still be my favorite Emma Frost looking head sculpt though. This one has a very nice hairstyle and a nice wash to the hairstyle. She's got her choke collar right there. And this is the area that really bothers me, man. This whole figure needs work here with the torso area. Just look how pinched in that waist is. Then we have her corset here, and the cleavage is barely visible. If anything, is like non-existent, which is a shame. There should be more definition on the cleavage, and that's not to be a perv or anything. It's because a corset would push her chest up. Really doesn't complement her chest here. Why wear a corset if it's not going to complement your chest? It's not even a full corset, so it shouldn't slim the waist that drastically. I mean, you look at this one, that's a full corset. Then the cape, while it looks cool keyed into the corset, it literally serves no purpose to pose the arms. Like, this is all you're gonna get. You know, Dwight Stoll mentioned on a live stream that they rarely use soft goods and they only use it when it makes sense. Okay, well, this is where it would make sense. Because if they did a soft goods cape, then you're able to move the arms. You're making a figure where it's, like, not posable at all. Then it doesn't help that she has heels. So if you were to stand her, this cape flares out, she's gonna fall a lot. The plastic cape adds weight, so having a soft goods cape would have definitely helped with balancing. I swear, with all the points I just made, it just goes to show you that they really don't think it through when they're making these figures most of the time. And then here's the cape that has a peg on it, just plugs into her back. Same played out hands as always. The belt right there, the buckle is painted in a nice metallic gold, and there's red. But I do like that they put seams on the pants right here, so it goes all the way down, and you even get some seams on the boots and even on the back too. With the seams present on the legs and on the corset and stuff, it really makes me think that the Astonishing X-Men team might get a good treatment with the seams, so it'll look good on Kitty Pryde and Beast. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they continue this trend. Now, I did do a head swap, and sadly, if you were looking forward to this kind of head swap, hate to break it to you, but it does not work. Skin tone is too dark and it sits way too high, and you'll run into the same issue when swapping with the classic White Queen. And for accessories, she only comes with 2 closed fists. Now, to cover articulation with Astonishing Emma Frost, her head doesn't look up, so don't even bother. It doesn't even look down. That's all you're gonna get. It does move left, right, and it barely pivots. It's on a ball joint, so you'll get some slight pivoting. Her arms can't flare out. I mean, this is as much as you're gonna get. You're gonna have to unplug the cape a bit and make her arms flare out like that. So that'll do something at least. Her arms will move that far up and that far back. Again, this is with the peg unplugged. Single jointed elbows, unfortunately. Wrist hinge and the swivel. The torso area is just so freaking bad. Like, you can't get an ab crunch whatsoever. It doesn't move forward. She'll move back a bit, but that's all you're gonna get. It does swivel and she does pivot. Her legs can spread that far apart, and you can kick up real high with her, so that's real good. And kick that far back, she'll get the frontward split. They'll rock around. You got the thigh swivel. You got the double jointed pinless knees, and no heel to the Emma Frost butt. Ankles move up a good amount, they move down, and you can rock them around. The design team's poor performance crumbles in utter disappointment here, and it shows with key parts not cooperating in conjunction with articulation and aesthetics. The upper body is completely hindered, therefore not making her a fun figure. I'm rating Astonishing Emma Frost with a 4.5 out of 10. Up to bat next is Quentin Quire, aka Kid Omega. A former student at the Xavier Institute, Quentin Quire is an Omega-level mutant telepath / super genius who uses telekinesis and is able to create psychic constructs as weapons such as shotguns, swords, or Wolverine's claws, or use them for fashion such as eyewear. And I like the way they went about this head sculpt for the most part. There's this pink hairdo, nicely sculpted. And I love that they gave him his glasses for a psychic construct. That is awesome. I just wish he had more of a smirk though. He definitely could have used an extra head because Quentin Quire has many exaggerated expressions in the comics. And he's on the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man body. And I really like the paintwork here. The Omega symbol on his torso. And it goes around. So that's nice. You get the Omega symbols on his deltoid muscles. More pink lines on his biceps and on his wrists. The only issue I have here is because he's on the Amazing Fantasy body, they left the gap right there where the web cape plugs in. And come on, man, they didn't do that with the animated series retro one. Hasbro loves hitting us with their laziness, man. You got his fist right there, the fingered gloves, and the rest of the body is in all black. For accessories, he comes with 2 gun-holding hands and a psychic construct of a shotgun, which is reused from Cable. What sucks is that the index finger is not separate from the hand, so you can't really hook that finger around the trigger. It's just like, why give him a gun if he can't hold it properly, you know what I mean? If you want to supply him with some psychic construct weapons, you can give him Psylocke's katana since it is pink. Now to cover articulation for Kid Omega, his head is on a disc hinge, so he looks about that far up, and he looks that far down, left, right, slight pivoting. His arms do move up pretty high though, so that's good, higher than a straight T pose. And you can move his arms down. You got the butterfly joints that move that far inward and that far outward. You got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, great range there. Wrist swivel, traditional hinge on the fist, but vertical hinge on the gun holding hands. Ab crunch moves that far forward and that far back. You got the upper torso swivel and it does pivot and you could rock it around. You got his legs that can move that far apart, and he kicks up pretty high. He kicks that far back. You know, you can rock him around. You got your thigh swivel. You got your double jointed knees, heel to the Omega butt. Boot swivel, ankles move up, down, and pivot. Even though it's a blank body, they got the design right. Great comic character representation in figure form. My only problem was the holes in the biceps and trigger fingers not being separated. Oh, and not having an extra head. I'm rating Kid Omega a 6 out of 10. Moving on to what will kick off a new team in the Legends line with Generation X is Chamber. Chamber is a mutant with psionic energy emitting from his chest. He lost his powers on M-Day, was kidnapped by a cult of Apocalypse, and transformed into Decibel. He regained his original powers following the events of Age of X. I'm gonna say it, this head sculpt is fire. Yeah, all the pun intended, damn it, because it is. It is fire. Look at this thing, man. Damn, it is so freaking dope. Like, I love the yellow overspray they put right there. Damn. I like the flame effects all around. This is catching light real good. I like this, man. I always like when they sculpt the hair nice and stringy. It's so comic book artistry. And the eyes right there just look so good. The all white pupils. The eyeshadows underneath. The veins around his cheeks, above his eyebrows. Oh man, this looks so good. Only thing that's a bummer is that, you know, when he turns his head, it just separates. Looks like he has a flaming beard if he looks off to the side. We get a new jacket piece right here. You get the zippers painted. You also get a new shirt too underneath right there. It's nicely textured. And the sleeves right here are reused from Jimmy Woo. You know, one of the worst Marvel Legends figures ever made. Good God. And the worst thing about this figure is that he's on the old suited legs with the pins, not the new one that's pinless. And my God, these arms are killing me right here. This dude looked like he's got chimpanzee arms. You know, your finger is supposed to meet at the middle of your thigh, not like right there at the knee. So with the proportions being off, he doesn't look good standing vanilla. And for accessories, he's got the 2 punching hands. Cover articulation for Chamber, his head is actually on a disc hinge, so he does look up that far, which I guess just won't look good. So don't even bother. It does look down, and then left, right, and you got some pivoting there. His arms can move about that far up, higher than a T-pose, I'll give it that. And you can move them down. You swing them around, you got your bicep swivel, you got the double jointed pinless elbows, wrist swivel, wrist hinge, and then you got the ab crunch that moves that far forward and that far back. You got your waist swivel. You know, I'm not even gonna cover the rest of the legs. You already know how these work. This figure suffers from proportions. Would have been better if the arms were shortened and had the newer pinless pants. Besides the limbs, this figure only looks good waist up, with the head sculpt being the money shot. I'm rating Chamber a 3 out of 10. Some more Generation X love in this wave as we take a look at Monet St. Croix. Monet St. Croix, also known as M, was originally a founding member of Generation X, later involved with various X-Men related teams such as the newly reformed X-Corp in a main role. M is a mutant with a wide variety of mutant powers which represent a near-perfect superhuman. Her powers include superhuman strength, enabling her to lift 10 tons, superhuman speed, agility, endurance, reflexes, coordination, and balance, self-propelled flight, 9 vulnerability, night vision, enhanced hearing, an enhanced healing factor, and the ability to read minds and perceive mutant auras. Monet also appears to have telekinesis seen in X Factor issue 218. M also possesses a near super intellect who can use high-tech devices with ease and is a formidable hand-to-hand combatant. I think they got it down with Monet here. I think they got the skin tone right. They kept those nice soft feminine features. The hair sculpt is beautiful too. Only thing I wish for is some nice brown highlights would have been really nice, but overall this is the character to me. I feel like the new parts added here really conceals the Shriek body, because at first I thought it was a brand new female buck right here. And we got a brand new upper torso that's newly sculpted, and dear god, they gave her the calcium cannons. I like the texturing on the zipper there, the X logo, you know, high collar piece. You got her pauldrons right there, gauntlets in gold, plastic gold. I wish it was painted like the zipper. Same thing with the astonishing X-Men Cyclops we just looked at. I like the X logo right there, painted on both gauntlets. That's cool. New belt piece, I think. Got the Generation X logo. And then her boots look really cool. It's actually an overlay too. My only gripe is the same thing with the random figures, that when you bend the knee, the freaking knee pad sticks out of the boot. This knee pad should be sculpted on the actual knee so it could flow together. I do not like that. So look at this, because there's an overlay, the actual leg, you know, that's actually part of the Shriek body. They painted that whole leg in metallic gold and it's covered in this overlay. Why didn't they just paint the boot? Again, they don't think these things through at all. Overall, nice boot design. These are new shoes too. As you can see, they have like the treads at the bottom. Speaking of the knee, I just forgot to point out that they did the same thing with the elbows here. It doesn't look as bad as the knee, I guess. No, it still kind of looks bad. I just wish it was the elbow pad sculpted on the actual elbow. Oh, these are new hands. I think these are new hands. And they even painted the wrist metallic gold. And it's covered. You can't even see it. Oh, what the hell. But other than those gripes, I really like this figure. And for accessories, she comes with 2 punching hands. So if you want to swap to expand on your Generation X team as a substitute, here I put the Sharon Carter head on and Gwen Stacy hands, I believe, to make a husk figure. So I think this could work. Now, the neck obviously is a different flesh tone, so as you can see right here, probably is possible to pop this out and replace it with a neck joint to match the skin tone here. This is something worth experimenting. But anyways, let's get into articulation. So her head moves about that far up, that far down, and moves left and right. I just wish it was a double ball peg at the neck, man. It is what it is. You got the arms that move that far up, down. You can move them around. And you got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, wrist swivel, wrist hinge. And she's got better range at the diaphragm because she bends in a lot more than the Shriek up her torso. So it has to do with the new sculpt, I'm sure. And it moves that far back. It swivels. It pivots a good amount, and you could rock that around. And she could kick up real high, you know, kick that far back. You could rock them around, you know, you got your typical thigh swivel, double jointed pinless knees, no heel to the end butt, and you got her ankles that you can move up that far. This kind of hinders it a bit from moving it any further. Oh, no, actually, it does move further up, and you can move it down, and you got your ankle pivot. These new parts added onto the Shriek body fooled me at first, making me think it was another brand new pinless female body. Despite my gripes, I'm very impressed. A very well done reuse, and this costume is making me itch to get her fellow teammates in matching uniforms. I'm rating M with a very high 8 out of 10. Next, we're gonna dive into the cosmic side of X-Men, representing the Imperial Guard, Fang. Fang is part of an alien called the Lupac and is a member of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. He later died betraying the Imperial Guard for the Brood, only to become the host for a brood egg and is consumed in its hatching. A new Fang was cloned under Empress Lilandra's orders to become part of the Imperial Guard once more. He is mostly known for having his costume taken by Wolverine, whom used it for quite some time. You know, I still don't know what to make of this head sculpt because there's some angles it looks really good, it looks impressive, but there are some things that are visually bothering me. I think it's the eyes. He looks cockeyed. Yeah, it's just something's throwing me off here. But I do like the hair sculpt and the beard, the ears. You know, all that came out nice. I like the tongue sculpted in there too. That's some nice work. So yeah, there's some good things I like about this head sculpt, and there's some other things I'm just like, so it's not great. It's certainly not terrible. I think it's just okay. So Fang here is on the Spider UK body, which we've seen 1,000 times. However, they did give him pinless arms and pinless legs. So as you can see, they gave him the Vulcan arms, and I know these are the Vulcan arms because that scene cannot hide from me. His little Fang accessories are removable. Then you got his necklace. It's loose, but it's actually plugged into the top. Might have to glue this down because it does get bothersome just floating around. And you got your Fang costume colors in the tan and the brown. You got the Fang belt, and again the Spider UK legs are retooled with the pinless treatment, and all it is injected plastic into the molding, so it's pretty easy for them to do. More of his Fang decorations onto the boot, which is also removable, and that's it. Not gonna go over articulation. You know how this body works, and you know, still the same bad double jointed knees on the Spider UK body, even with the pinless treatment. You get a little more bend, kind of improved it a little bit. And for accessories, besides the clawing hands, he does have 2 punching hands. So you guys know I love paying homage to the 90s Toy Biz vintage figures when I can. So I had the Wolverine Fang costume figure as a kid. So this is pure nostalgic for me to put the Wolverine head on the Fang body. However, the biggest problem with this figure is that he's on the wrong body. He's way too tall. Fang is supposed to be 5'4" in the comics. He's Wolverine's height. So it would have made sense if they put Fang on the Wolverine body. You see what I'm talking about when I mentioned before that they don't think things through? This is another example. And you know what bullshit they're going to pull off. Hasbro's going to be Hasbro, and they're going to release a Wolverine figure with the Fang design. And this head is way too small for this body. See, they could have just packed in and sold it as Wolverine and just have an alternate Fang head with the hands. They could have really packed this figure in so well, but no, they wanted to be lazy and keep accessories down to a bare minimum. It's just dumb, and now if they never release Wolverine in the Fang costume, it just makes this figure's release even more of a failure. So it was actually nice to see them put in the effort and updating an outdated body with the pinless treatment for the time being. Can't be mad at that if it was a character to fit this build, but I am mad with it being on the wrong body. Another character that's not going to look right when the Imperial Guard team is complete. I'm rating Fang with a generous 4.5 out of 10. Let's take a trip to the Shi'ar Empire with the Starjammers leader, Corsair. Christopher Summers, aka Corsair, is the father of Cyclops, Havoc, and Vulcan. He also commands the space pirate group known as the Starjammers. I'm loving this Corsair head sculpt, from his hair to his handlebar mustache. They got this character right. Another character that I feel like they got their head sculpts right in this wave. And I like the earrings there. The bandana is flowing nicely. It's in red. I do wish it was in blue though, because he's got enough red on the costume as is. And with the blue sash, the blue collar, I think he would have looked better with the blue bandana. Now, he's been seen with the red bandana before, but, you know, he just looks better with the blue, in my opinion. So, either way they went with, red or blue, is fine. I just prefer blue. And you got the collar right there. It's a separate piece. And he's on the Vulcan body. You can see his logo on there. It's painted nicely for the most part. Would have been nice if he had his silver shoulder pads. I mean, he was also seen without them too, so it's not a big deal. With or without them is okay, but I guess you could give him like maybe Silver Samurai's shoulder pads if you want to mod them. Just an option for you there. Wait, hold on, I gotta correct myself real quick because he is not on the Vulcan body completely. The limbs are the same, but the torso is completely different. And one of the ways you could tell, there's this wrinkled seam right in the middle of his abdomen, and you can see there are no wrinkles on this. I don't like the way this ab crunch looks, by the way, when leaning back. But the chest looks really nice. Actually, I think the chest looks better as far as the way it puffs out. Yeah, as you can see, if you look at it from the top, this puffs out a little bit more. So, yeah, new torso, you know, there are more ripped muscles defined on this one. You know, not so much this one. And obviously, you could tell from the back, this one's way more muscular. And this one doesn't have as much muscle definition. So, and I think the butterfly joints work much better on this figure than this one. So yeah, had to correct myself there. I should have known when I saw the collar piece, but then again, the 275 Banshee had the same thing, but on the Vulcan body. New gloves, so this is exciting because now I'm automatically thinking, hey, new Taskmaster on the Vulcan body. I think these might be new hands too for the Vulcan body because there's some wrinkles sculpted onto the fists, so yeah, I just need to point that out. And then here's his blue sash. You got some gold painted right there. He's got a sheath right there for his swashbuckler, which we'll take a look at accessories later. But yeah, the body work is very nice. He's got his thigh-high boots painted. And yeah, the rest is red again. Vulcan legs, Vulcan feet. For accessories, he comes with 2 trigger hands, a swashbuckler, and a blaster right there. And this blaster looks really cool. I like the way it's sculpted, and it has a port in the front so you could put one of the muzzle effects. I put the pretty boy muzzle effect on there. And then you could put the sword right into his sheath right here on the sash. Let's articulate Corsair. So he's on a disc hinge and he looks that far up. The collar doesn't really hinder that movement, which is a great thing. And then he looks that far down, left, right, and you know, some pivoting. His arms move about that far up, higher than a straight T-pose. Good. Moves down. Swing him around. You got the butterfly joint that moves that far forward and that far back. A little further back. There we go. And then you got his bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, wrist swivel, wrist hinge. So you got the traditional hinge on the fist, vertical hinge on both the trigger hands. Gotta love that. And then you got his ab crunch that moves that far forward. Oop, moves further down more, and then he moves that far back. You got his waist swivel, legs spread that far apart, and he kicks up pretty high. No, I forgot that Vulcan body doesn't really kick high. It's just like a mid-level kick, and then doesn't kick that far back. You got the legs that rock around, thigh swivel. You got your double jointed knees, heel to the Corsair butt, and then calf swivel. You got your ankles that move up that far, they move down, and you can rock them around. Corsair stands out to me as my favorite in the wave along with Cyclops. This character was always on my wish list, and I'm glad they delivered. Also, he includes the most accessories in the wave, which helps boost his play value. He's in a tie with Cyclops for me, as I'm rating him a 9.5 out of 10. Cha'ad is a big reptilian alien and a founding member of the Starjammers. Despite his appearance, he is usually friendly. He was once a slave of the Shi'ar Emperor, the Ken, until Corsair led a rebellion. Then he would join the Starjammers. Later, they helped Professor X gain a new body while they fought the Brood. The Starjammers have the trust of the X-Men and the Avengers. Cha'ad has superhuman strength, razor-sharp claws, and his thick, scaly hide provides him with enhanced durability. Additionally, his saurid brain provides him with a degree of resistance to telepathic attacks. Cha'ad is an experienced starship pilot and mechanic, hand-to-hand combatant, marksman, and swordsman. He wields a variety of extraterrestrial weapons, including energy rifles, swords, and battle axes. Oh, Chad. Okay, I'm ready to talk my shit on this one. But starting off with the head sculpt, I will say they sculpted it right. Okay, I don't have issues with the head sculpt because it does look like the character indeed. However, they didn't paint it. That's my problem. Other than the eyes look great, you know? But he's supposed to have yellow around the lips, yellow on the eyebrows right here, yellow on his fin ears. There's just no paint. He does have an articulated jaw, and they painted the tongue in black, so that's nice to see. This is a pretty cool articulated jaw too. Looks weird when it's completely wide open like that. My biggest issue with this figure is that they are reusing an 8-year-old body in the Abomination bath. And because of that, it suffers from so many comic inaccuracies. Now would have been the perfect time to introduce a new mold so that way we can get an updated Abomination in the future. And Cha'ad using this Abomination bath makes him short. Cha'ad is supposed to be 9 feet tall, okay? He is so undersized right here. Like if I put him next to Corsair, you see this right here? And if I hunch him over, his head should not be at his chin. He's supposed to completely tower over Corsair and the rest of the Starjammers. Now, there's some people that said that they should have reused the Gamerverse Abomination body. Hell no. Absolutely not. That doesn't work either because he doesn't have the segmented lines like this one. At least this has the segmented lines. Height-wise, I agree. Height-wise, he should have been this tall. So let's point out all the comic inaccuracies. They gave him 10 fingers instead of 8. He's supposed to have 4 fingers in each hand. Sometimes he was seen with 3, so 4 or 3 fingers would have been okay with me. He's supposed to have an extra toe on the heel. He's supposed to have fins on the back of his calves. There are no segmented lines on the legs to accentuate the torso. You know, at least if they sculpted newer and taller legs for him, I would have appreciated that heavily. It's like comic gore all over again, bro. And look at the back right here. Sometimes there's a fin on his back. Sometimes, you know, there wasn't, so it is what it is. But they painted the back right here, so he has yellow highlights on the back, where they never paint the figure at all. The fins on the forearms are not yellow. I mean, they're a lighter shade of green, but they should be like this kind of yellowish green. Some yellow trimming on the segmented lines would have been fine. He's supposed to have blue trunks, not black. I mean, what the hell, man? And if you're the kind of person that says, oh, well, you know, he's still gonna look like the character once he's on the shelf next to everyone, stop fooling yourself, man. You know they did it wrong. If they did it wrong, stop fooling yourself. This is absolutely terrible, man. Another character on my wish list that they butchered. You know, he's got some shading right here on top of the feet. So, some more yellow trimming, you know. Just wish they put that yellow trimming more on these fins. They could have been a little more prominent. And again, trimming those segmented lines. Another thing that bothers me here is this bicep right here. There are no segmented lines, so it doesn't continue. It starts from here, and then it stops there, and then goes back. It doesn't make sense, man. They didn't even paint the fingernails nor the toenails in yellow. It's a new belt. It's in red. Got the metallic gold paint. You got some scratches right there. Some nice texturing. I get the business behind reuse. I do, when it's done right. But, man, this was just pure laziness. I know the positive police will come after me, but I don't care. Let them come. This is why I defended a brand new sculpt. Because there's nothing wrong with me wanting to voice us and getting better figures. Especially for characters we are extremely passionate about. I just want to see it done 100% correctly. Especially with these price hikes. Us real collectors want to see things done accurately to justify the wallet. I'm not here to start shit. I'm just here to state the facts, and you can't argue against the facts. The devil's in the details. Mic drop. Also, I just wanted to show you something for fun. If you didn't complete the Abomination bath from the Civil War wave, like you were just missing the head or whatever, and you want Cha'ad and you can replace the Abomination, then all you need to do is buy Fang. He comes with the head and Curry, and I put the belt on here. And that comes with Kid Omega, so up to you if you want to buy. Anyways, I would still save you about $130. Yeah, I know the color is inaccurate, but the bath is already inaccurate as is. If you want, you could paint the head in green to match this. At least he has the blue trunks though here. For accessories, he comes with his pet curry, and this looks really nice. I like the eyes painted. You got black eyes with red pupils on it. The sculpted fur looks good on the top. And there's his tail. It's not bendy, just pliable. There's his little feet right there. And he's got more sculpted details. Yeah, it's a cute little pet here. And he's actually articulated too. So his head is on a ball joint. So you could rock that around. And since he's always hanging out on Cha'ad's shoulders, you could just rest him right there. Like so. Yeah, no, this looks really cool. I like these two together. Another thing, they didn't give him any weapons for a character that wields weapons. So I just gave him this HasLab Victory Saber Blaster. It would have been nice for them to give him some weapons. Let's cover articulation for Cha'ad. His head moves about that far up and that far down. Left, right, slight pivoting. His mandible moves up and down. And then you have his arms that move about that far up and down, you know, swing them around. You got your bicep swivel, your single jointed elbow, wrist swivel, and a wrist hinge. Ab crunch only moves that far forward and that far back. Waist swivel, leg spread that far apart, and he could kick up about that high, and he kicks about that far back. You could rock them around. You got the thigh swivel, single jointed knees, no heel to the Starjammer butt right there. Why is the kneecap sticking out like that? That is one of the worst sculpted things in the Marvel Legends line. Then his ankles move about that far up, down, and you can rock them around. The lackadaisical reuse presents countless inaccuracies, resulting in a poor execution of the character. No effort was put in at all, and it shows, especially with paint being non-existent for a bath. This bath is the lowest I've ever scored on one with a 3 out of 10 rating. Now to kick off comparisons, we have our astonishing Cyclops and Emma Frost next to their classic versions. Here's some new X-Men comparison love with Kid Omega next to the Stepford Cuckoos. Here is M and Chamber next to other Generation X members, Jubilee and co-founder of the team, Banshee. Here is Fang next to his fellow Imperial Guard teammate, Gladiator. Here is Corsair next to his children, Cyclops, Vulcan, and Havoc. Lastly, here is Cha'ad next to his fellow Starjammers, Corsair, and Binary. And now to wrap things up, my final rating for the wave as a collective is a 6 out of 10. Never have I rated an X-Men wave this low, but this is definitely one of the weaker ones they've ever constructed. I do like the character selections as we get 6 first-timers in the line, and that's huge. But the executions on most of them are a miss, but the ones that hit really hit. We get some good team builders with Astonishing X-Men, Generation X, Imperial Guards, and Starjammers, so Kid Omega to me feels out of place here where he would fit best for a new X-Men team wave. They should have added Astonishing Beast or Imperial Guard Starbolt to strengthen the wave. Also, did you notice that the majority of this wave is pinless? Only pins were on Chamber's legs and Cha'ad's limbs. This is a good sign that we're moving towards an all pinless wave for our comic figures, which we have yet to get. We got that already for movie figure waves, so we need that applied to a comic wave. One big downside for this wave was being deprived from accessories. Not one extra head was included with any figure. Not one. Some underwhelming figures leading to an unfulfilled, unpainted bath, which for me made it feel undesirable and unrewarding. A lot of prefixes in that one sentence, I know, but this wave needed fixing. It needed more time instead of being rushed for its 60th year anniversary line. It could have been better, but it's mid at best. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think about the wave? What is your ranking from the bottom to the top? What would have made this wave better, whether it be accessories, paint, sculpt, or a character you wanted to see taking over a figure slot in the lineup? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next video. Peace, peace.